Hello, today for review I've got yet another true wireless model, but this time it's done by Xiaomi. I suppose I've pronounced that at least halfway correctly, because usually I used to pronounce it some way like Xiaomi or something like that. But YouTube says that it should be something like Xiaomi. So Xiaomi Air 2 Pro. It's their relatively recently released model, true wireless, offering a lot of pretty unusual features, and for me, of course, the most interesting thing was the shape. As you can see, they really refined probably the most classical true wireless model, AirPods, but luckily this time they look at least a bit different. But of course it was for me really curious to compare them with AirPods, and I will cover it a bit later. So here I used a pretty big 14.2mm dynamic driver. It supports LHDC, or another name for this codec is HWA, so it's a pretty high resolution codec. If your smartphone or source support it, probably sound quality will be better. As for work time, it's about 4 hours from single charge and 1 hour to charge them, and up to 14 hours for the whole charge in case. Of course, you can use one earpiece and charge another. There is actually pretty good noise cancelling system activated during voice calls. They support Xiaomi's own voice assistant, but of course I didn't test it. I don't see much sense in installing it, but actually using this XiAI application, you can update this earbuds firmware, you can change the tabs functionality, but that's what I also didn't do in this review. Basically, I'm interested mainly in listening to the music, and of course also I was interested in how good they are in making voice calls, that I will also cover. They support Bluetooth 5.0. Probably that's pretty much about the specs. Price is $80. I will put a link to the shop in the description, and also they gave me $5 discount code. You can apply it, I think, to all purchases, but definitely with this one you can get additional $5 discount. And now let's have a closer look. Box is simple, but of course polygraphy is great. Nice combination of glossy and matte paper, nice wavy texture, so presentation is really superb. I already broke this seal, but for the new one you can be sure that you are the first person who opens them. And here they are inside. You will have case, earbuds themselves, and USB-C charging cable. So at least one good thing in buying brand things, that they will use USB-C. As you can see, case shape is a bit different. It's a bit bigger than AirPods, but reminds it a little bit. But plastic is different. It's more it's less glossy compared with AirPods, so it's a bit more pleasant to touch. Of course, here used a pretty strong magnet to hold the lid of this charging case. As usual, everything goes pretty predictable. You put them inside, they start charging, you close it, you open it, you peel the protective screens. Let me remove both. And there is magnets inside, so basically you will have the pretty similar experience to the AirPods. Really good magnets clipping them inside, lid clipping them back, button to activate pairing mode, LED indicator showing the charge. When it blinks red, it means that they are almost empty. When you charge them and it starts glowing white, it means that they are full. So basically all that stuff is working. But of course, let's have a closer look at the earpieces themselves. Shape is almost absolutely similar to the AirPods. I probably do a bit comparison at the end of this review, but this part is noticeably bigger, so they probably try to put more battery inside or more electronics, I'm not sure, but of course AirPods are a bit slimmer. But actually wearing comfort and fit is absolutely the same, because this part is almost 100% same. There is a voice hole here, pressure relief here, also they have sensor so they can check are they inserted into the inside of the ear or no, but actually it's working even if you put them on your table. They will think that they are in your ear and will start playback. Additional microphone for noise cancellation that works during the call. Main microphone, of course both earpieces have them, and they have a pretty advanced schema for the noise cancellation. Well, it's not as good as AirPods, but actually it's the best one that I've tested besides the AirPods. It's pretty close. Maybe on the most noisy environments this noise cancellation won't be enough, but in almost all circumstances it will be okay. So it's better than Huawei's what I was testing. It was FreeBuds Lite or something like that, so it's better definitely, and it's of course better than all other true wireless models that I've tested. So connection quality is pretty good, even up to 6-7 meters with one thin wall between the source and the earpieces. It's okay. Also, what else should I cover? Work time is close to the promised one, so from 3 to 4 hours from single charge of music listening, and 1 hour of additional charge will almost completely recharge them in case, and up to 12 to 14 hours with charging in the case. Overall build quality is nice. As far as I remember, there will be black version and maybe some other additional colors, but of course many will prefer the white one. And of course about the sound, I used my M11 as a source. I tried to turn on and off HWA codec it supports, but it doesn't change much, but actually aptX is supported. And as you can see, this proximity sensor works with almost anything. So I raise it from the table, it pauses a playback. I put it back, playback starts again. Well, maybe not a perfect implementation, but at least it's better than nothing. Anyway, in terms of sound, Xiaomi tried to do their best and they almost succeed, but they failed, well, not failed, but they didn't achieve the maximum performance because of this AirPods like case, because it's a pretty good dynamic driver used here. It's resolving, it has good mids, pretty nice treble performance, but bass is suffering here. Actually bass is pretty good. It's, well, let's start step-by-step description. Bass is nice, it's also resolving, good resolution, pretty clear, it has nice power, but because this earpieces don't isolate your ear channel fully, of course bass is lacking in weight and in quantity. It tries to play the deeper layers of bass as much as possible, and with music like The Prodigy or other bass-heavy genres, it's trying to play these deeper layers, but because sound is leaking out between this earpiece and your ear, it's reducing the impact of low frequencies. So it's probably not the best solution if you like super punchy and strong bass, but at the same time it has a nice resolution, pretty realistic attacks and decays, and nice control, and really, well, maybe not superb, but good texturing, and it's sounding pretty balanced in terms of quantity and in terms of sound signature. So it's a good probably solution for those who listen mainly to not bass heavy genres. It's pretty nice. For example, here it is, my first example track. It's Red Hot Chili Peppers and the Getaway. Well, Red Hot Chili Peppers, of course, is famous for the nice bass lines, and it's famous as a group having one of the greatest bassists in the history of the genre. And bass line here is also prominent, nice, engaging, and this earphones plays this bass guitar part and drum part, basically rhythm section. They play in pretty realistic and enjoyable way. So mids are bass is nicely transitioned to the mids, and mids are, they are clean, clear, and actually, they are sounding pretty good, and they are sounding even better than I've expected because of this aptX codec. Maybe Xiaomi trying to do some magic, maybe it's just a good dynamic driver, but anyway, this earpieces has less traces of this Bluetooth compression than almost any other TWS models that I tried. They also pretty natural, with good balance between the microdynamics and macrodynamics. Of course, they are not as resolving as wired models, don't expect that. And when I'm speaking about the sound, of course, I'm doing a correction, and I'm speaking relatively to the true wireless segment, because even with aptX codec, some loss of quality is still unavoidable, and that's what we need to face. Basically, technologies didn't develop good enough to have the wireless sound of the same quality as wired one, but anyway, they are pretty good in terms of resolution, and they have less traces of this lossy compression, and they are pretty good in building imaginary stage. I think it's a benefit of this earbud-like design, because usually earbuds are better in terms of staging. You have more open design, and because of that you will have better staging, but of course it depends on psychoacoustics, so result could be a bit different anyway. And as in mids example, I've got really great track. I like this album so much, I like the Alan Parsons project so much, and Gaudi is one of his best masterpieces, and La Sagrada Familia, it's great track, and with nice emotional introduction, with keyboards intro, and with this voice narrating the beginning of this story, and when it's transitioning to the main melody, it's really sounding impressive. So if you didn't heard that, I really recommend, but most probably everyone heard that. And these earbuds are really good here because of pretty nice staging. So all that three-dimensional effects that Alan Parsons put here, sounding really nice. And treble. Of course, treble suffered the much in true wireless models, simply because it's lossy codec and it compresses treble most of all. Of course, treble, it's about half of bandwidth, and it's more beneficial to compress it, because first of all, almost all people doesn't hear up to 20 kilohertz, because with aging our treble perception reduces, and also many tunes that don't have anything, well, maybe not anything, but don't have important information in the treble area, because usually treble area contains overtones, decays, and it's typical for the live instruments, for the perfectly recorded vocal. And if we're speaking about some electronic music or pop track or something like that, they don't have much in the treble area, so we can compress treble, we can clip it, we can apply some lossy compression, and that's why aptX and other codecs do that. So treble suffers most, but here it's well, not the best one in the true wireless world, but definitely in the upper half of good treble. Of course, you will hear this compression. Treble will be simplified, but not because of earbuds themselves, but because of lossy codec. But at the same time, they have a good amount of treble. They don't trying to be polite, and treble isn't primitive here, so they will give you at least basic saturation with overtones. So pretty nice for this price, for this true wireless segment and so on. That's why I selected this test track. It's Anathema, The Optimist and Endless Ways. Really nice track with a lot of keyboards, with a lot of, I suppose it's fortepiano, really well recorded, and it has, as any acoustic instrument, it has a lot of that overtones, and this earbuds play that, well, not great, and even probably not good, but at least they are close to sounding good with this track, because this track requires much better and wired earphones. So that's what I can say. So to summarize again, this sound part, it's pretty nice mid-centric in-ear monitors with pretty good resolution. It's really good in terms of technical capabilities, like pretty realistic attacks and decays, pretty good resolution, nice clarity, and so on. But of course treble is simplified because of lossless codecs, and bass is really agile, but at the same time it's lacking a bit of punch, a bit of presence because of this earbuds like construction, and I think that's unavoidable. And of course about the compressions, I have took my wife's AirPods, and you know, she likes them and she uses them constantly. She even bought this case. It's not protective case, it's actually glows in the dark, so it's easier to find it when the room is dark. And of course it's really obvious that Xiaomi tried to do the AirPods. So it's much more obvious if we look this way. So as you can see, shape is absolutely similar, size is also absolutely similar, but the design of this fit is more smooth, more logical for the AirPods actually. Well, I don't think it makes much difference, but of course I think AirPods looks more accurate. But anyway, of course, it's not the main question, but comparing them side by side, what we've got in terms of non-sonic features. So basically AirPods have better performance in the noisy environment, and also they are a bit better in terms of detecting inside ear or outside. They are more precise and accurate. What else? They are doing better actually. Xiaomi tried to copy everything. They even created this animation when you open the case, and if you're using Xiaomi's smartphone, it will show the similar animation. So basically they even copy that. But in terms of non-sonic features, actually AirPods are better, and I think it's not surprising. Actually, the only thing when this one is better, it's work time. It's about from half an hour up to 1 hour more of work time. But in terms of sound, it's also not so obvious, because Apple performs a bit better. Probably they know some secret, and their bass is more fuller and have more weight. So basically they managed to implement it a bit better or tweak driver in a different way. Not sure what is the secret, but actually bass performance here is better. Of course, in terms of sound isolation, it's the same and so on. Mids are on par probably. Maybe Xiaomi is a bit more spacious in terms of staging, but difference isn't huge. And on the treble, actually, for both models, limit is more Bluetooth codec and not the performance itself. So I like AirPods a bit more because they are a bit more saturated on the treble. But if you are treble sensitive, probably you could like Xiaomi's AirDots 2 bit more. So also, of course, I need to say that this case is a bit more slimmer and better pocketable, and also Apple paid more attention to the details. For example, hinge here is made of metal, so probably, and here we've got plastic, so I'm not sure, but maybe I suspect that Apple one will serve you longer. But from other point of view, battery in both will probably die faster than this hinge will be broken. But I'm not sure what will happen if you drop them, for example. Of course, this one supports wireless charging, but actually AirPods now support that too, so it's not a difference. But I've already probably spoke too much about that. Speaking about other models that I've tested, actually Huawei, what was that model's name? FreeBuds Lite or something like that. It's a bit better in terms of sound because they are built with this in-ear design, and it will give you a bit more impactful low frequencies, and it will be better on the low frequencies, but on the mids I think Xiaomi is a bit better, and on the treble, well, maybe Huawei is also a bit better, but in terms of performance in the noisy environment and noise cancelling, Xiaomi is better. But difference isn't huge, but still noticeable. So to summarize everything, Xiaomi tried to do the AirPods-like design, and if they've selected in-ear design, I think they would create a better model, because this design play a bad trick on them and they lose part of possible performance. Anyway, it's still really good substitute for AirPods. Price difference is 2 times here, but of course in terms of sound and in terms of features, difference isn't 2 times. So if we speak in absolute, if we do absolute comparison, of course AirPods will be better. And if we're speaking about price to quality ratio, of course Xiaomi will win here because the price is 2 times low. And if you're looking for some earbuds like design, I'm not sure, maybe you don't like the idea of sticking something inside your ears, or maybe you want to hear what's going on outside you. It's really good, actually designed for modern city, when you need to be aware of what's going on. It's a really good, well, not substitution, but it's a really good option to get nice sound and a lot of good features for 2 times less price. So it was Xiaomi AirDots 2 or Air 2 true wireless model. Names are different. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.